I was not satisfied with the quality of answers that were being provided. And this is what heightened my research and my investigation into this matter, my study. And I actually attempted, I say this in the book, that I actually attempted to write this book in that 2020, but I couldn't, because I was still researching. I needed more information. And happily, I found an academic work, a work that was written for the Bachelor of Divinity, I think by someone in George Fox University. That academic work was written in 1957. So I was happy with that work because that I could say, okay, good. This is an academic work that is free from today's controversy, free from today's quarrel. So I could, because it was easy. When I found it in 1950, I was very happy that this is research work on the biblical basis of tithing. I talk about it in, I believe it's chapter 2 of my book. I talk about it. So that work was very good because, number one, it helped to confirm some of the things I had, the opinion, some of the things that I had come to accept from my reading of scripture. And it also provided the information, the things, the areas that I was lacking. That work was, I give credit to the owner of that academic work in my book. And so I now realized what was missing. And as I kept studying and preparing for this book, all of the information gap, the huge information gap that is missing in our understanding of the practice, the doctrine of tithing and the practice, was now filled in. And so what I have presented here is I have shown working as a mathematics student. In mathematics, you don't just arrive at an answer from the question. So the answer has maybe just one mark, one or a hair, just one mark. You need to show working. So this book has been written in a show working style. So whoever is quarreling with me, or you come and show your own
working,
counter working. And make your formulas work. Make your equation work.
Welcome back from the short break. And I hope you enjoyed our last session. I think our conversations were so heated. Yes, it was. And I don't know how many legs of this table is remaining, but I guess this table is standing on one chair, sir, or one leg rather. So how are you doing, sir? I hope you're good.
Yes, good.
I hope you're back and refreshed.
The break was good.
All right. So delving back into the subject matter of tithing. We're still on the book responding to the Tithing Controversy, a 95 thesis on church finance administration by our prestigious author, Pastor Bishop Aniekan E. All right. Let's kick into question number 7. Are you ready for this? I think you have to breathe in, breathe out, and get ready for this question. Okay. All right. I don't know how much of a thick skin you have developed, but this question is, it says, since you have chosen to wade into this controversial subject matter, you will definitely have critics and oppositions coming for you. What do you have to say to your potential critics? I mean, people who are going to, throw you online, pick 1-minute video of what you have said, and try to find fault. What do you have to say to those people?
Okay, so I had already anticipated writing a book like this on a controversial subject. There's no how everybody is going to, embrace. So I had already talked about that in the introduction of the book and talked about it throughout the book. In society in general, human beings hate change. When we have found our comfort zone in doing things, and somebody is beginning to say something new, there are different reactions. At first, people say, "Hey, go get out of the picture, just go to your go to your cave and go sit down there. Some people will listen, some people inside the church, some people outside the church. People will listen with a grain of salt, and it will take time. No new idea catches on at once. So the best we can do is bring our ideas respectfully, so that if people are rejecting your ideas, it will not be because of mannerism, style of approach, and all of that. At least present the ideas in the best way, courteously, so that people can at least overcome those obstacles and listen to the logic. They can listen to the logic. So I address this matter like I have said. Sorry, I keep going back to like a broken record. I address this matter, and there are some people that will listen. They will come to this conversation objectively, listen and hear the points. There are some people who, because of their bias, because of the bias that they have on this subject, they will come with their bias. And this argument, it will take time to, some people will be closed completely to this argument and will consider me an enemy of the church. Okay, some people will consider me an enemy of the church. They will not, some people will not listen to this scripture-based position that I have put on the table. But surely and slowly, like other inventions, like other new inventions, do you know that even when the King James Bible was first translated, before the King James Bible was translated in 1611, there was the Bishop's Bible in existence, yes. Wow. That when the King James Bible was translated, it was not embraced for the next 50 years. The King James Bible was not embraced because there were people in the kingdom who hated King James, the monarch, who was the sponsor of that academic, that theological work. King James was not a Bible translator. King James was the king who gave the authority for the translators to do the work of translation. Okay? So it was even after the death of King James, and even like 50 years later, what happened was the King James Bible came to be embraced. So embraced that it was as if God spoke King James from his very mouth. So that is the way new ideas and opinions permeate society. There is always resistance at first. But eventually, it takes time for this argument to soak into the consciousness of society, yes, and answer the questions and the issues. Then what we find out 5 years later, this position that people have been criticizing and castigating will now win the day. So, first of all, what I have to say to my critics, you know the popular saying that if you want to criticize me in the newspaper, please at least spell my name correctly. So I address my potential critics. I ask them to criticize me, to first of all, hear my argument out. Read my argument. Read my book. Hear me out on an intellectual, theological, academic basis. Hear the logic. Hear that I present those arguments respectfully, compassionately, and I present scriptural backing for my arguments. So hear the arguments based on its merit and its faithfulness to the scriptures, which is our authority. Hear me out so that when you are responding, when you are making your response to me, your response is honest. Your response is as honest as I have been honest in putting this material down. Your response is, let it not be, oh, see his head is so big. See his beards. See how big let's not descend to the level of insults. Let's not descend to the level. Let's keep the spirit of brotherhood, the fruit of the spirit in our interactions. Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. We are coming to scripture. Scripture is our authority for everything, as the rule of faith and life in the church. So I call on my potential critics to engage me intellectually on the basis of the merit of the merit or demerit of my argument. And if you have a better argument, if you have a better case of showing that this is what scripture says on the issue, present your case. Present your case. So let's have an intellectual discourse that is respectful.
Beautiful.
That's all I have to say to that.
Beautiful.
Number 8, so many big men of God, reputable ministers of the gospel, have preached extensively on the subject of tithing. What can you, as a newcomer to this topic, that hasn't already been said, what can you say about it?
Okay, so good question. And like I had said earlier, that for me, what is paramount is that we show and demonstrate that scripture speaks clearly. So these respectable ministers of the gospel who have gone ahead, I mean, we do not take away anything from their reputation. They are giants, role models, and pace setters. But the authority for the life of the believer is the scripture. So these giants, these role models, we've had arguments, different points of view and opinion. So human beings can disagree. But where does scripture stand? For me, it is the authority of scripture. Because if it's one of two things, is scripture clear on this issue? And if scripture is not clear on this issue, then we are in trouble. Meaning that scripture itself is a confusing book. So, but we believe that that is not the case. So if scripture is clear, then it means that the problem is our interpretation of scripture. Okay? So, and then I'm also aware and conscious that this matter has remained within the realms and the domain of controversy for several decades, years and decades. And so it points to the issue of hermeneutics, which is the science of interpretation of the message of the Bible, the message of scripture. This is a very, very big issue. I was discussing with a friend, a close friend, maybe past 2 years, I believe. And I made a comment. I was talking to that friend and I told the friend, I made a statement and I told the friend that one of the biggest needs, in fact, as far as I am concerned, the biggest need of the church today is right hermeneutics, right, faithful, proper interpretation of scripture. Because how we read and understand our Bible, how we interpret our Bibles affects preaching, affects teaching, affects life, discipleship. It affects church policy. It affects what we will do with our time, our resources, and so on and so forth. It was in 2020 that I really plugged in to the controversial conversation that was going on in the social media space in regards to tithing. It was in 2020 because I know that that conversation started around 2018. It heated very much in the West African, Nigerian social media space from 2018, 2019, 2020. But during that period, I was in school. I was running my academic program. So more or less, I didn't even have much of a social life. It was reading, assignments, term paper. It was academic business. But in January of 2020, I had rounded up my academic studies. So I had a moment, for the first time in many years, I was free and I was looking for what to engage my time with. And then I listened to a social media post and I saw the caliber of, so you know those kind of posts where snippets of conversation back and forth, snippets of this person making a statement, snippet of one man of God responding to it, snippet of this one making a statement. I was amazed. I was amazed. I said, what? I was aware that there was some conversation like this going on, but is it this bad? I was amazed. So, but on the other hand, I was also concerned because if there is confusion on this matter, I expected teaching. I expected explanation. I expected clarification, not cussing, not denunciation, not saying, do you know, I've been in the ministry for more than 30 years. I did not, I listened and I waited. And I did not hear explanation and teaching, clarification. As I am originally a science student, mathematics student. So my background is working from first principles. So Pythagoras theory, or what they call the almighty formula, the quadratic equation, this thing, from first principles. Prove it. Prove that this is equal to this mathematically. So you keep working, and substituting until you arrive and say, okay, this equation is equal to this. This is my orientation and this is my background. So I was not satisfied with the quality of answers that were being provided. And this is what heightened my research and my investigation into this matter, my study. And I actually attempted, I say this in the book, that I actually attempted to write this book in that 2020, but I couldn't, because I was still researching. I needed more information. And happily, I found an academic work, a work that was written for the Bachelor of Divinity, I think by someone in George Fox University. That academic work was written in 1957. So I was happy with that work because that I could say, okay, good. This is an academic work that is free from today's controversy, free from today's quarrel. So I could, because it was easy. When I found it in 1950, I was very happy that this is research work on the biblical basis of tithing. I talk about it in, I believe it's chapter 2 of my book. I talk about it. So that work was very good because, number one, it helped to confirm some of the things I had, the opinion, some of the things that I had come to accept from my reading of scripture. And it also provided the information, the areas that I was lacking. That work was, I give credit to the owner of that academic work in my book. And so I now realized what was missing. And as I kept studying and preparing for this book, all of the information gap, the huge information gap that is missing in our understanding of the practice, the doctrine of tithing and the practice, was now filled in. And so what I have presented here is I have shown working as a mathematics student. In mathematics, you don't just arrive at an answer from the question. So the answer has maybe just one mark, one or a hair, just one mark. You need to show working. So this book has been written in a show working style. So whoever is quarreling with me, or you come and show your own
Working.
counter working. And make your formulas work, make your equation work.
Bring your
So
stories.